Welcome to This Is Not a Green Room, the podcast where we talk to comedians and friends of New York Comedy Club, most of them Canadian at this point. As always, our host team of Nick Angelo, Rachel, last name deleted.
To be determined.
And Amy Hawthorne are here. We are going to have a little bit of musical chairs of our hosts today, but I mean, when is this not some kind of weird musical chairs?
It's all my fault as the guest.
Well, and here's our lovely guest, Mr. Graham Kay, who as a Canadian is unfailingly polite.
Thank you. And I'm sorry.
Graham was running a little late because he was waiting for the cable guy.
Yeah.
And he's so polite.
Internet man.
Yeah, the internet guy. He's like, hey, I'll be there sometime between 10 and Friday. And he's like, okay, I'll wait.
I guess I will wait. And he came yesterday, and I was in my apartment waiting, looking at my phone, and he left because he said he tried calling, but he didn't call.
No, of course he didn't.
No.
Big liar.
Big liar. And then the Optimum called me and said, he's outside. Can you go get him? And I was like, yes. And then he wasn't there.
That happens
and
all
then,
the time.
And then now I'm late for my podcast. You see? Trickle down.
We'll forgive you.
That's like UPS doesn't even try to deliver anywhere in New York anymore. They just slap we tried to deliver on your door and run away.
Yes.
I
have some
watched the guy-
slats for
all
my
day
bed
in
waiting
my
for me at the
Jeez.
the way station somewhere.
I watched the guy right out front just walk right up to the door,
Yep.
put it on the sticker, and like run back to the truck. And I was,
No, really?
yeah, I was like, from
straight
afar,
up.
it's like,
I've
try.
never
At least try.
unleashed on anyone in my life like I unleashed on FedEx last week. I literally, because I was waiting for my air conditioner from Bed Bath & Beyond,
Ooh.
I sat outside waiting for this fucker for an hour, just sweating my balls off, waiting for this guy. I get a text, because you can sign up for the text messages, and he's like, oh, an attempt was made at 1:59. Amy...
Ooh.
Holy shit. I was like, you motherfuckers, do your fucking job. Like, I lost it.
Great. I love that you wait. I waited outside today because I didn't want that to happen.
You're not letting him get away.
And I put my phone number on the door and said, call me. Here's
Yeah.
my phone number, Optimum Man, in case.
Yeah.
So I had my bases covered and everything.
Yeah.
Same thing. The last time, I forget what I was waiting for from FedEx or UPS, and my new phone. And same thing. I was home all day. It was a day I worked from home. So I was like, this is great. I'm going to get my phone. This is amazing. I go downstairs to go get some food, whatever the fuck, and a delivery attempt. And I was like, oh, you motherfucker. So I hand wrote a note in marker that was like, dear UPS, I am inside. You better deliver my package.
Great. Did it happen?
Yeah, it did. But also, that's
You got to put the fear of God in them.
That's like the plan, though. Like, they know this. This is in New York specifically, but in a couple other markets, both FedEx and UPS give their drivers a completely unreasonable schedule that they could never physically.
Yes. It can't be the
accomplish.
driver's fault.
Yeah,
But they're also very lazy and don't want to walk up steps.
Yes.
I mean, that's part of it too, but it's
Yeah.
also like literally they get in trouble if they don't make their 100 attempts in 3 hours, which is physically impossible in New York with traffic. And so they all have just figured out to do this thing where you pretend you attempted and see what happens.
I think they also get shit if the package gets stolen.
Oh, I think
Because if
yeah.
they leave a package on the doorstep and it gets stolen and there wasn't someone to sign for it, they're taking the heat.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, fuck that. I'm just not going to leave it.
Yeah.
Well, aren't you glad we had you on, Graham, to talk
I
about
am.
FedEx?
Yeah, talk about FedEx. Very
the thing.
exciting.
You know, Federal Express used to have a union, and then it was broken, and then they are non-unionized as we speak. And I think it's time for the old FedEx boys to get back in the old union game.
What are you, some
Yeah.
kind of socialist?
Well, how else are they gonna fight
Yeah,
back to
it's true.
these jerks?
It's ridiculous.
You know what I mean? And then we'll get our fucking packages. Can I swear?
Yes.
It would be weird if it was like a
Oh,
comedy
man.
to be like,
Did you not hear Rachel's
We're a clean
story? She was-
podcast. Fucking FedEx, fuck.
oh yeah.
I always when
There's
I
a nun listening to this episode for the first time. Going, well, I said no, my word. And then just taking her earbuds out.
This is and this is just all a big story for our new sponsor, UPS. What can Brown do for you?
laser shipment, the small guys that will actually come to your door, I've discovered most of the time.
I always for little things I see, like for auditions and stuff for you guys, I see come up and they want clean comics. Like, for what?
TV.
Oh, because you want to hire someone for your corporate event, and you don't. It's a lot easier to laugh at something with your boss sitting beside you or your coworkers when it's about an airplane and not pussy juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that because it's more work for us.
I was gonna say,
If those jobs exist, so. But I get it because sometimes they have like corporate events at comedy clubs, and it's just a dead section where that business is sitting. And if they were all split up individually and went to different comedy clubs, they would all be laughing, but together they're beside their coworkers, and they are too uncomfortable to laugh at things that they would laugh at in private.
I've seen a corporate group walk, and they all had to leave at the same time because they were just too offended. It was like 9 people.
Yeah, unbelievable.
They probably weren't offended, but they felt like they
Well,
were
one
supposed to be offended.
One chick was super offended, and so then they all felt like they needed to leave.
Ugh, and I probably hate goddamn Karen.
But I
Ruined the fun.
do like a little bit that they were in solidarity with stupid Karen.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Karen's stupid. I think they're all stupid. But
Yes.
there's something nice about that. Next day at the office, she could feel warm fuzzies.
Well, they had. I guarantee when Karen was away, when just 2 people were at the water cooler, going, "God, that was kind of bullshit, right? It was funny. Why do we?
Yeah.
Oh, the
But if
Christmas
we didn't
party.
leave, of course, I wouldn't get my bonus.
Wait until the Christmas party when everyone's like, you know what? Karen's really an uptight bitch. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
there you go.
think because people are mainly normal, but when they get in group settings and there's politics involved, you just don't. You just want to be able to afford presents for your children, and it's more important than laughing at this comic.
Yeah.
That just told a joke about pussy juice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You weigh the options. You're like, fuck Karen. All right.
Pussy juice is hilarious.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Karen.
We had someone reach out to us this week about they wanted to do a potential employee mixer at our thing because it's like a bar, and they were like, we like to have these be like fun with activities and music and entertainment and blah, blah, blah. And, then our management staff can get to know our prospective hires and see if they're a cultural fit. And I was like, oh, this is going to be horrendous. These are all... These people don't even have the job yet. They're not laughing at anything.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Would you love to know that going into a show as a comic? Like if Amy's like, hey, I'm booking you, but this is what's going on in the crowd. Would you go on stage with just this different mentality? Just to fuck with that group?
Well, no, I wouldn't go to fuck with that group. I would go to call out the truth of the situation to try and break it up a bit.
Yeah.
To make them more relaxed. Like, 'cause sometimes you're like, you do a set and you're like, why is no one laughing? And then you find out, you find that out and you go, and then you call it out and then they start laughing. Because they're like, yeah, it is weird, right? And then it's weird for you because of this, and it's weird for the bosses because of this. And then they all go, yeah. And then it's a little... They still won't laugh at pussy juice, but then maybe you can do your time-tested jokes about cats and airplanes.
Yeah. Or it's like the same thing,
Which
too,
I
when
do
you end
have. And I'm not embarrassed about it. I don't care.
I like that you just use your own set as like the example of middle-of-the-road vanilla.
I got them in there, but they got a little grandma twist on them,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So Amy banned Emilio from the podcast this week, which it's hilarious.
I'd like
For
to say
Me Too stuff?
He's self-banned.
Self-banned, but he had actually put questions aside for Nick to ask you since he wasn't
That's
going to be
great.
here.
I love
cute.
Emilio. He's such a good man.
He really is.
Yeah. Nice man.
This will be the test if he actually listens to the episodes he's not on.
He doesn't. We already know that answer.
No.
Does
I'm
he
not
listen-
saying that so he'll listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just saying it. 'cause
I'm
that-
just saying it
But wait,
'cause-
what are these what are they
Well,
about?
We'll get there. I'm not.
Okay.
No, Emilio doesn't get to call the shots from the other room. Get out of here.
You're in the captain seat.
Yeah, I'm the
You're in the
captain now.
folding chair captain seat.
Well, okay. I want to ask
I'm
you
the
about.
one to hit the record button on this thing.
I want to ask you about a weird non-comedy thing that we share in common. We discovered, which is that we both lived in Budapest, Hungary.
Yeah.
Oh.
So tell us about how you ended up there.
I finished university and I wanted to travel, but I didn't have any money, and so I did the math on it, and it would take me a long time to save money to go traveling in Europe, and so I figured I don't know how I found it. Sometimes I'm really dumb, and sometimes I'm resourceful, and I don't know how to meld the.
You like don't know from day to day. You're like, is today a
Is
day
today
I'm
a
an
day?
idiot, or is today the day I figure everything out?
Somehow I found some Canadian government program where if you had a university degree and you were under the age of 30, the Canadian government would pay you to work overseas, a stipend, just a small, like a livable stipend, but nothing crazy, and fly you over with the hopes that their young, educated would create business ties overseas that would pay dividends in the future. I don't know if it ever worked. It seems like a crazy liberal plan that it's a waste of money, but maybe it worked. I don't know. But you could do anything from like digging ditches in Africa or working in a DJ music studio in London, England. Like you could do a bunch of crazy stuff, you know? And so I had a job working for the Canadian Post Office as a summer job in the summers doing logistics, and I got a job working logistics for a private American shipping company based in Budapest, Hungary. I was hired under the auspice that I would be working for NATO and shipping things like to help children in hospitals in Iraq during the height of the Iraq War. And when I got there, I found out we were pretty much war profiteers. And the reason why I was in Budapest is because they got their start doing the same thing, supplying things to American army bases through the Balkan Wars, which were, 6-7 years before that. So when the Balkan Wars ended, they kept their offices, kept their infrastructure, and started using that for corporate moving in Eastern Europe because the Iron Curtain fell. So they all these new businesses like Toyota or whatever, Johnson and Johnson were moving into this Eastern European hemisphere, and they needed like all these companies needed chairs moved and desks moved en masse and things like that.
And this is what you did there? Or?
No. So I'm just explaining why this company still existed, even though there was a 7-year span where it made no sense for them to exist in Budapest. So they were war profiteers in the Balkan Wars, switched over to corporate moving for Eastern Europe, and then when the new war started up in Iraq, they were like, well, we still have all our old contacts in the American war machine, and Budapest is perfectly situated time zone-wise in between America and the Middle East, where we can conduct business for both in one business day. So they started up the war profiteer machine again and hired a bunch of people like me. They realized they had a couple Canadian people working there, and I guess they somehow found out that they could get free labor, free educated American-sounding labor like me. And I worked in this like office in Budapest for a year, shipping things into Iraq via Kuwait. So and anything an American army base would need, I shipped other than weapons. So I shipped nails, I shipped concrete, I shipped comic books, I shipped glue, I shipped hammers. So the American government will buy a hammer, let's say from Home Depot, and then they would pay a bunch of middlemen to ship it over, and we were one of the middlemen. So you buy a hammer for $2, and by the time it gets to Iraq, it's $25.
Yeah.
You know?
And how old were you when you were doing this?
23.
Straight out of college, right?
Yeah.
This is before you started any type of stand-up.
Yep.
Okay.
Is this one of those experiences where you're like, you know what? I want to tell jokes.
Well, I always knew I wanted to tell jokes, but I wanted to travel before I did because I knew once I started telling jokes, I wouldn't have the means for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I also knew that I wouldn't be able to travel if I started to do comedy. I might have a girlfriend, then I might get married, then I might get a house, then I might get a kid, and then
So
I'm
many
fucked.
what ifs.
So I was just like, before I get this thing started, and I want to travel because I thought that there was a certain wonderment you could have about the world before you're 25 that was sort of and it could influence you more than when you're over that age. It's an arbitrary age I chose, but like, I think you're going to be less like, holy shit, like when you're 35 traveling than when you're 23. You know what I mean? So I just thought that the time was now, and I'd be super free. Plus, there'd be like a bunch of babes over there. I might be able to like make out with.
How'd that go?
I went okay. It was really hard at first, but I did meet a stewardess, and she was one of the most beautiful people I've ever made out with, and till this day. And we dated until she realized that I was going to move back, and then
She cut you off.
yeah, but she did fly. I did go to a music festival by myself. I didn't even invite her, and I saw the White Stripes in a castle overlooking the Danube River in Serbia.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Oh my God.
did a bunch of like ecstasy in the dry moat around it, and watched and like the sun come up above it, and like I saw these DJs, and I met my ex-girlfriend from university was traveling too, and we met there. We didn't like hook up or anything, but I definitely was like, I am still in love with this girl. And then I went back to Budapest to see my current girlfriend, and she was flying me to her and I were flying to Mallorca, Spain. She got me a free trip to Spain. And I was like, fuck, I should cancel this, but I want to go to Spain. Whatever. And then I'm a piece of shit, I guess. And then we went to Spain, and the first day of a 7-day trip, we broke up on the beach drinking sangria. She was like,
The first day of a
It's
7-day
so
trip.
romantical too. What a romantical breakup.
I know. But she was like, we were staying in the same bed. We had 7 days ahead of us, and she was like, she was pissed at me, and obviously because I didn't realize it at the time because I never really had like a girlfriend where it was like girls don't like it when you just go to a music festival. I just would like to be like by yourself,
Yeah.
Like I was like, you have to invite them and stuff.
You
or
can't
whatever.
go to a castle overlooking the Danube without inviting your girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's just
and it never occurred to
you
me.
got to learn that lesson the hard way, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just didn't grow up. I was my only sibling has like severe autism, so I just never told anyone what I was always doing my own thing. I take care of people, but that's it. I don't tell. I'm not like a good group,
Yeah.
And so I was like, so we were in Spain, and she was like, I knew you were cheating on me, and I was like, I was not cheating on her. I've never cheated on any girlfriend till this day. And she was like, I knew you were cheating on me, and I cheated on you with my ex-boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend was like some like Hungarian.
So she told on herself.
Yeah, just to make me angry though, because she thought I was, and her ex-boyfriend was like some Hungarian gangster. He used to like make her carry a gun in her purse and stuff. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, and I go, and she goes, I knew you were cheating on me because there was like around the bed there was crumpled up Kleenex, in your bedroom back home, and then that only happens after we have sex. And in my head I was like, oh, she's jerking off.
Yeah.
But I was so hurt and angry at her. I said, yeah, I was cheating on you, but even though I wasn't. And then we ended up like having a very weird 7 days.
I would imagine.
Where I would like go down to like, there was no like smartphones back then, and I would go down to like the hotel lobby and like message my ex-girlfriend and try, because she was like I was trying to get her to stay in Budapest because she was currently traveling through Europe and was in Budapest, and I was like, stay there so when I get back we can hang.
This is like a novella.
Yeah. And then on the last day, on the last couple of days, we rented a convertible smart car. This is my Hungarian girlfriend. We were driving around Mallorca, Spain, and then we left her bag. She left her bag when we checked out some fucking castle, and they took her bag but left her passport. But she had no money, and I had to like pay for everything for the rest of the thing. And then on the last couple of days, we had sex in a smart car. I'm 6'4". My head was out the roof. I swear to God, the car was rocking back and forth. You just see like nipples and above my head just.
Did anyone see you?
I was at night, probably. And then we had sex again the last night, and fucking on the dresser, and like something fell off the dresser and broke on the ground, a glass, and I stepped on it, and I was bleeding everywhere, and like we turned on the light, and it was just a goddamn murder scene, and I had to like wash my foot in the bathtub, and
With tissues everywhere.
with tissues everywhere. These tissues keep coming back, and then I got back to Budapest, and I just remember she was driving me. I made her drive me back home. She was just wouldn't talk to me, and I was like, hey, just you were a good girlfriend. She's like, I don't want to talk about this. And then I had like a great week with my ex-girlfriend from college. It was like, oh, it was such a. I still think about that when I was.
So what happened to her?
We like. I wanted to move to Toronto to be a comedian, and she was moving to Vancouver to study nursing, and we stayed in touch. And then she visited me a couple times, and I visited her, and it just was like too hard to.
I have
keep
an
it going.
off-topic question.
What?
Do you get as mad when people say Toronto as Alex Pavone, or like is that like a thing?
I don't get mad. It just sounds jarring. But it is spelt Toronto, but it's just too hard to say.
Toronto.
Yeah, people say Toronto, CHURONO. Like it's when they say it so quickly.
Where are you from? Are you from Ottawa?
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew
Ottawa's-
you're a Senators fan.
Yes, Ottawa is near upstate New York. It's near Syracuse, and Toronto is more near Buffalo, which is oddly far away from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's my whole goddamn life. How did I do that?
So
I talk a lot.
Well, that's good.
Well, that's good in your
the
profession.
whole point of you being on a podcast. We don't want you to sit here and be silent.
Yeah. It's because this goddamn cold brew.
no
It's
ice.
got you wired.
It's got me going.
Yeah. Well, when you put ice in it,
zipping.
now you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Graham, you just recorded was it your first album at the New York Comedy Club? Is that correct?
Yes, I did. I didn't end up recording it at New York Comedy Club. I recorded it at a different comedy club. Yeah.
But you originally was the idea. Well, anyways, so the question I was going, because we just had Michael Costa on the show last week.
Good man.
Yes.
Look alike.
You guys, it was
Your twin.
It was
Yeah.
definitely funny that we had you guys back to
We have
back.
the same barber.
It's
It's not good.
But we were talking about his show at the club. It's Nice Try, where comics just try out new material. And the idea of that show is for comics to like, let the audience know that this doesn't happen overnight. Like a good joke, a good 1 minute
Yeah.
bit takes a long time. And what I wanted to ask you about your album was, like, how long does it take to get a good 45, 60 minutes of material?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, I think it depends on what style you are. If you are European, English in particular, you do that in 10 months. You can do.
What does that mean?
maybe,
What does
maybe
a
6
European
months.
style?
It's more storytelling and less punchy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get all these Edinburgh fringe acts going, hey, Americans, you guys take 2 years to write an hour. We can do it in 6 months. What's
Yeah.
your problem?
They
You
tell
guys aren't very good,
they
You do it
tell
in
one
6
story.
months. And it's like, yeah, but you don't tell jokes. You tell stories that are funny, that have huge spaces in them where no one's laughing. People are very engaged, and it's an arresting story, but it is not. It's a different style of stand-up completely. It's not the kind of stand-up I gravitate towards or I respect as much. But I also think I'm also happy it exists. There is allowed to be different types of music, and I am glad that it is out there for people who like that. But it certainly doesn't take as long to craft a bunch of stories without a zillion punchlines. Where like American style stand up, especially New York style, is more heavy punch. Now there's also an LA style and a Midwest style and a Canadian style of stand up, which are slight variations. But New York is, you stand there, You don't fucking move, and you the written word, the economy of words is king. So that is the goal. I respect that the most. I don't think it is necessarily the best. I think that you need to throw in if you're going to watch somebody for an hour, I think you need to throw in a little more dynamicism. Dynamicism.
Let's just go with
it. Anyway,
diversity.
Yeah. No.
No.
No, but I think like a guy like, you know, who's generally considered the best of all time is Richard Pryor, and that's like a very fun mix of silly, act out, hardcore like punchlines. I think that Dave Chappelle is my favorite of all time, and that guy can write a goddamn punchline, sit there, not move, joke, but he can also make a scene. You know, set a scene, do different characters. I don't know. So I can't remember what the fuck we were talking about.
We were talking about your album, and I was asking
God,
how
I talk a lot.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. And just for those listening, it's now just me and Graham.
Yeah,
as the ladies have left, so we can switch gears and go.
The women to leave.
The women are out, so now
There's too much diversity in comedy these days.
That's what I'm saying. Now we have two straight white men talking on a microphone.
Yeah,
that's what all everybody wants. But no, I was asking about your album because I just bringing up the fact, just like I want people to know how long it takes, because it seems to me like a lot of comics are just rushing to make an album.
Yeah,
and like making a comedy album isn't what it used to be.
No,
and I feel like you know, for those that don't know, like that's a long time to find that length of material.
Louis C.K. would write at his peak one every year. Mm-hmm. In the American style, and that was considered very quick. Yeah, and you get a lot of people who are like 6-7 years in doing stand-up with their past year of material releasing an album, and I think for myself it takes about just a little under 2 years for me to write about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and I don't have the there's a lot of factors of why I can't do it in a year. Maybe my skill set isn't at the way where Louis C.K. was at his height, but also I don't have the resources. Yeah, I don't have whenever I can't perform. You know, it's stage time in New York for someone who's not famous. Is
hard to come by.
It's hard to come by.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think, you know, Louis C.K. at his height, when he was writing one per year, it's a lot easier to write that many jokes when people already like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like exactly. I think one of my favorite comics, who's a perfect example of that, is Patton Oswalt. Mm-hmm. When he got to a certain level, I don't care. He can tell me the saddest story about his wife passing, and I'm sitting there because I'm a fan of his. Sure. I like him. I want to listen to him talk. Mm-hmm. I don't care that there was no well-written jokes in that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So when you get to a certain level, it's like, yeah, you're just going to talk about your family and your life and what's going on, and people are into that. But when you're coming up, it's like you got to write good jokes.
People don't know you. You have to earn it. And a lot of now Patton Oswalt is more of a little British style.
Yeah, storyteller.
But he does always end up with a good payoff. He's a really funny stand-up. And he has earned the privilege to have people come out to see that already like him. I will say this though, is like when we have something called like a bringer show. Yeah. For those of you listening who don't know what it is when you first start in comedy, some bookers at comedy clubs, in order to they ask new comics if you want to get on stage, to bring 5 people or 10 people, and then we will give you 5 minutes. And so the whole show is comprised of say 6 new comedians who have all brought 5 to 10 people, and the entire audience, save for a few trick tourists, maybe like 3 to 5 trick tourists, is all friends of people who are about to go on stage. And then when the people who go on, when their friend goes on stage, they are so, even if they suck, they are so loud.
Yeah.
For that particular person. I don't know what that is.
It's a doorbell downstairs.
Okay.
It's FedEx.
No, that's good.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm glad they're
They
here.
must have heard us.
They're trying.
Yeah, all right.
This is live, right? This
Yeah,
is broadcasting.
We're live, pal.
Through large speakers out on the streets.
Yes. Yes.
But anyway, so it's like a bringer show are usually hot. They're a good crowd. And I always thought that like when you're famous, every crowd is a bringer show for you.
That's a great way of putting it.
Because they're all your friends, even though you don't know them.
Yeah.
So they're super hot just for you when you're on stage, but it's only you. You know what I mean? And so you get a lot of people who are famous, not through stand up, through acting or something. And maybe they were stand up before, though. Maybe they're like a decent stand up, but they got famous because they got a role on something. And then everyone thinks they're the greatest fucking stand up in the world when their material is mediocre. But they are famous for being for an acting gig they got. But they are, they've always been an okay comic. But they have a look, an attitude that is right for a certain role or is very interesting and different. But the written word isn't superior. But they get huge Netflix specials or whatever. So, without the risk of seeming bitter, I just think that because I'm not, I completely understand why these things happen, and people got to make money, and they're chosen for specific reasons. But that's the reason why a lot of people get huge leeway. And if you talk to really good, famous comedians, they'll always go, "Yeah, it's great" or whatever, but I would love to go back to a time when no one knew me and I got on stage and I got to earn the laughs and see if they really were good.
Yeah.
You know?
That's like when we've talked about this story before when Chris Rock popped in at the Cellar once and was just like, he was just trying out new stuff and he stopped this show and was like, "Stop laughing because I'm Chris Rock, laugh because it's funny."
Yeah, because he's a real comic.
Yeah. And he's a great example of like, you get to a certain level, it's like, because he's even admit his last Netflix special, it was half-assed. I liked it, but it wasn't.
I didn't see it.
But he's like, he's Chris Rock. When you get to a certain level, what do you make jokes about anymore? You know what I mean? Unless you're doing politics jokes or stuff, but like, it's like you're famous. You're world, the audience can't relate to not being able to go out to dinner with your family because you're getting harassed by fans.
Sure.
I can't relate to that. So that's not really funny to me.
Sure.
And that's a certain level of comedy that I think a lot of comics were like, "Man, I wish I could just go back to when I was hustling on the streets. No one knew who I was. And my joke about, Joe the plumber worked."
I think you're right. I was rewatching on Comedians in Cars the other day, and I forget who it was with. It might have been Zach Galifianakis, and he was like, "I don't buy." Jerry Seinfeld's like, "There's plenty of stuff to still joke about." He goes, "Everyone, all famous comedians go, 'Oh yeah, you're famous,'" basically saying what you're saying.
Yeah.
And he goes, "There's plenty in this world. There's an endless amount of stuff, Well, so
I agree with that too. I think the part that is fascinating is that the comic just doesn't have it in them anymore. It's like when you're young and you're hungry and you're fighting for stage time, and all your jokes
That's
are like
the main reason.
Yeah, like you're raw. You're trying to find out this voice, and then once you become established, it's like you don't have that hunger anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, I could make fun of that, but I don't know.
I'm really worried about getting old and not becoming losing my creativity. Like you look at any musician, every single musician stops being good.
Yeah.
at a certain age.
Without a doubt.
It's like 20 to 40, and then you're toast. Really 20 to 35. You know, and it's like what the fuck? Like, when am I gonna stop understanding what's funny? And like, when will my brain chemistry change? It's like this impending doom. You know.
That's interesting. That's funny that you bring up the music too, because there's such a double-edged sword with that.
Yeah.
Is because you'll see someone like, I don't know, like artists that reinvent themselves just to, you know, because they still want to make music. So like Andre 3000 has just evolved from when he was a Southern rapper to whatever the hell he's doing now.
Yeah.
And people get pissed off, like, oh, I wish he would just make an Outkast album.
So is Big Boy too.
Yeah,
Big Boy had a hit last year.
Yeah, he has a new album out, and it's like they evolve to do whatever they want to do, and people get pissed. But then if you look on the other end, like AC/DC's been making the same album for 30 years, and I don't know anybody talking about Black Ice, you know?
Yeah.
Which is their last album. It's like they haven't evolved at all. It's the same 8 songs.
Madonna evolved.
Boy, did
Cher
she.
evolved.
Yeah. Yeah, they like that's what I'm saying. You have to evolve. And, excuse me, even like but with comedy, like you have to evolve. At one point, you know, Pussy Juice isn't gonna be funny.
No, I'll be 65 here. Pussy juice. There's no pussy juice. The woman I'm having sex with at 65 has pussy dust. Get it? Pussy chalk.
There it is. Pussy chalk. Oh, that's gross. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, pussy sand.
Pussy sand.
Oh boy, I'm sorry. And I won't. And then I won't
never apologize
I'll have
for
a very,
pussy chalk.
Well, sand was gross. It was a step too far. But yeah, and my weird old limp, wrinkly dick won't be doing much either. You know. Just I don't know.
Just no tissues on the bed this time.
No tissues on the bed.
Tissues on the bed.
No tissues on the bed at all.
That's the name of the comedy album. No tissues on the bed this time. being old and sexually inactive.
No tissues on the bed.
Yeah,
just Imodium.
Just. See, this podcast never gets this far when the ladies are in the room.
No.
This is nice. This is refreshing.
Oh, I would talk like that. I'm equal opportunity.
Well, since they're not here, me and you are both sports fans.
Yes.
And the last time we tried to have you on, I don't exactly remember the word for word text, but Amy had texted you and said, "Graham, are you available to do the podcast?" And I think this was right before the Raptors won, and you said, "No, I'm in Canada with my family. It's going to be a national holiday. P.S. I'm drunk."
Yeah.
And I was like, that is awesome. Like, not only are you celebrating like your local town's team or your favorite team, it's a national holiday. I'm drunk.
That's me.
Yeah. Are you still celebrating?
Yes. I tell you what, I don't care that Kawhi left. I obviously would like that he stayed. I just don't care. We're not supposed to win, and we did. Everything worked out. I got sad. I got not sad, but disappointed that he didn't stay. And but I still today I thought about them winning, and I smiled.
Smiling like a butcher's dog.
When I woke up this morning, I had a smile. I for some reason it came across. I was like, they fucking did it.
Yeah.
They fucking did it, Raptors.
Oh, okay.
He's talking about how
Oh, you're still happy? You're still feeling the high?
Yeah.
I love it.
Amy's back.
Amy's back in the room. No more pussy chalk jokes anymore.
Yeah.
Amy's back in the room.
HR is here.
So I've been talking about the whole time.
Yeah.
We're talking about our dicks.
Yeah. And then yeah. So it still makes me really happy. I can't believe they did it, and it wasn't supposed to happen, and good things aren't supposed to happen to us, and they did, and it was unbelievable.
Have we already talked about the adorable text messages that you sent me?
Yeah.
That I loved that too. And then it was funny the next day when you're like, "I'm so sorry, I was drunk and celebrating and I've got to be here." I was like, "I'm from Boston. I gotcha."
Yeah.
I understand the unreasonable sports situation.
You can take a year off, though.
Yeah, that's true.
There'll be another one coming around.
But now, not because I'm old enough that I was there
Right.
when they won the first World Series since 1918. So
Sure.
I remember those days too.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes, you
now
do.
it's like, oh, Boston wins everything all the time. I can just
Yeah, it
tune
sucks.
out. I literally went to sleep during the Super Bowl 2 years. Was it 2 years ago?
when they were down a bunch.
Yeah, I just sort of like I was tired. I can't remember what was going on, but I was like, I'm gonna take a little nap. And they were behind, and I literally told that everyone's like, how can you be taking a nap? I'm like, I guarantee you, when I wake up, they'll be in the lead and they're gonna win. And I was right.
That's so dope.
That's such a Boston fan thing to do too. I was like, I'm not even gonna pay attention. We'll win. Like you're getting crushed.
I'll be
No,
back in the
we'll
third.
win.
I'll be back in the third quarter.
Are you from Pittsburgh?
I am from Pittsburgh.
and you guys are doing okay sports wise.
Yeah, I can't complain. I got a lot
Poor
of
Pirates, but everything
yeah.
else
I mean,
is great.
other than that, but yeah, I mean, I've seen 2 Super Bowls and 5 Stanley Cups in my lifetime. So like, I can't complain. Like I got a really good friend who's a
Unbelievable.
Cleveland fan,
yeah.
and just that poor bastard.
Well, they won. They won.
They won. LeBron finally gave him something, and
That's
but he
something. That's not nothing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it was.
And LeBron also gave them a decade of fun.
Yeah, he
They
got.
were always in it.
They won when they
You know?
won the championship. He got married 3 days later, and the entire time everyone's like, "This has got to be the second greatest day of your life." He's like, "It absolutely is."
That's hilarious.
yeah, it was good.
I
But
will
yeah,
say, though,
I can't complain.
I'm glad that I moved away after they started winning, and it's gonna sound like such stupid. I liked the band before bullshit, but like. It used to be when they were just big losers. Like you could walk up day of the game, pay $5 for an obstructed view ticket. There'd be 1,000 open seats that you could move to that were better, and that was how you saw the Red Sox. And now it's like, no, you better buy your ticket ahead of time. It's really expensive. So at least now, like when I have to see them, I'm like, okay, well, I'm seeing them in New York, or like when I was in LA, it's like I'm going to a different place, and I don't mind that I'm spending all this money. It's like an event, like it's
Yeah.
a special that they're coming around. I don't mind spending all this money on it.
Yeah. No, I'm like that with the Blue Jays, but they won't be good for a while, so we'll be all right.
I don't know. I would beg to disagree with you. They got a lot of young talent.
They got a lot of
Vlad Jr.
They got everyone's son.
Yeah, I noticed
They
that.
got like 3
don't they
famous
have,
guys'
Craig
sons.
Oh
Biggio's
yeah,
son?
I was watching it the other day.
yeah.
You're right. I was
The-
like, wait, did I was watching with my mom who knows lots of sports. I was like, wait, what? Hold on. She's a junior, and I was like, oh okay, that adds up.
And there's another one. There's 3. There's Biggio, Guerrero,
Yep, Guerrero's
Vlad
one I
Guerrero
noticed.
Jr., and there's one other one I can't remember who's like whose father was like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, that's actually becoming. I don't know if you watched the NFL draft, but it seemed like every pick in the first 2 rounds they cut to someone's like, and this is the kid of so and so, and he's the grandchild of so and so,
Yeah.
and his mom's this, and it's like, yeah, we've
we're doing thoroughbreds
we have
now,
bred
yeah.
super athletes now.
It's not only that, it is nepotism all the
yeah.
way up through the junior ranks. So you are not only do you have the best food, the best training facility, but there is a book called Guns, Germs, and Steel that explains why places like Africa have less money and have always been poorer than places like Europe. And it's because it is on an Europe is on an east-west axis. It's wider than it is longer, so the weather is the same, and there's no huge mountains, and there's no glaciers that were separating people. So people could transfer ideas quicker back and forth. Whereas like North and South America and Africa are north-south, and there's like huge deserts and there's glaciers in the way. So people were, on their own with ideas. So if the thing about it, what I'm coming around to is if you know that someone way over there, in China invented the wheel, and you just hear about it through carrier pigeons or whatever, you go, oh, I can do this because I know it can be done. And if you know people, your uncle played in the NFL, you know it can be done, you know it's possible, that is a huge advantage to somebody who has nobody around them, that has no idea what is going to, like it's just, believing is almost everything. And also, they can help you. They can put you in contact with people.
Yeah.
Go, look at my son.
Yeah.
Hey, you coach of whoever the fuck, look at my son. Hey, high school coach, play my fucking son.
Yeah.
Don't bury him on the bench. You play. I'm so and so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so people like when I went through hockey, I was a better goalie than most of the people I played with, but I was always on the bench coming up until the end of the season because I had to like beat out some cocksucker's son who was like the assistant coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was like, or I wouldn't even get a tryout because we got our goalies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and that's why I'm not in the NHL. Plus,
Yeah.
I wasn't good enough.
6'4" goalie, huh?
It was becoming a thing. It was not a thing back then, but like Olaf Kolzig was big, and now everyone is like 6'4", 6'6", because you could just drop to your knees and your shoulders cover the top corners.
Yeah.
And then your legs cover the bottom. But as long as you can close the middle, because your 5-hole is so huge when you're taller. So as long as you can close that quick enough, then it's pretty much all the thinking's done for you.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about reaction time with your arms or legs because you've got it covered as long as your angles are good. Yeah. But the hole is so fucking big that's tough. But if you can get that reaction time like really quick, where you can like go in a butterfly really quickly, then easy peasy.
I love that we both just talked about theories of mankind, evolution of ideas, and also like so in depth. Like this is how you're a goalie for
how to close the 5-hole.
It's quite a 3 minutes.
It's this goddamn cold brew
Because
I'm zipping and
so
zapping.
today we've learned is a day where you're brilliant instead of just like, I don't know, I'm an idiot.
we basically
mostly
learned
foggy.
that people in Africa can't close the 5-hole because they don't know that they can.
Exactly. They also don't have ice.
They also don't,
That's
and neither
another
did your
thing.
cold brew.
Yeah.
Oh, it all comes back around.
Pussy juice.
Well, on that note, thank you for being here. We got to wrap this up. Do you got anything you want to plug coming up? This will come out next week.
Is the podcast on?
Oh,
We started already? I always wanted to be.
You're so
I was waiting for it to start.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do, WTF or whatever, obviously, and then they always have these guests on, and they clearly don't like the ones who don't listen to it.
Yeah.
They always go, "Oh, is it on? Oh, this is it." But sometimes it's like 3-4 minutes in.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do a WTF
At the very
At the
end.
very was this on? Was this it? It was like
thought
an
it was
hour and a
sharing
half in.
se-
So
sharing
when are we going to
secrets
start
with you,
this
Mark.
thing? You know?
Anyway.
Anyway, but do you have anything you want to plug?
I have an album coming out, 800-Pound Gorilla Records, and I don't know when it's coming out. It's coming out in the next month. It's called Girlfriend Material, and I also I'm going to be filming a special in Canada for Crave TV, and if you're in Canada, you can watch it on Crave. But if you are in America, hopefully it will be on Amazon in the next couple months.
Great.
That's it.
Nice.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Graham.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, can you follow me on Instagram, please? I don't have any followers, and it looks sad. Everyone has more followers than me. It's at Instagram K.
Your name is in Instagram.
Yeah.
It's got to work.
But it's Graham like the cracker and K like the jeweler. I don't know how else to make that funny.
No,
it's
I
not
like it.
funny.
I mean,
It's
that's
stupid.
funny. You just gotta
that's
tell people.
built-in sponsorship.
Yeah, you're right.
All right,
get
so
after
here
them.
are our new sponsors today. UPS, obviously the Raptors. We got
Graham
K
crackers?
Jewelers and Graham Teddy Grahams.
You got it.
Let's get Teddy Grahams. I like
yeah.
them the best.
They are really
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
good. Good cereal, too. All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to This Is Not a Green Room. We are available wherever you get your podcasts, including Stitcher, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and iTunes, as well as the Laughable app. And wherever you're listening to us, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating so that other people can find us and love us too. You can find us online at Not a Green Room on Instagram and Twitter, and you can check out the club at New York Comedy on Twitter and NY Comedy Club on Facebook and Instagram.